So today we're gonna start. So today the topic is regarding logistic preparations for the up and coming Q4 peak season. Alright, some important notice over here just to share. So any point of time, if you cannot hear me or if there's any issue, let me know in the question box so that I will see a pop-up that somebody cannot hear me or what. Okay, I see some new names here. If you are new to our live webinar, do know that you can find the recording on our website and the official YouTube playlist. Or however, there will be a Q&A sections, which is exclusively only for the live attendees. So I won't be sharing the Q&A section during the recordings. Right, so if you have any questions later on, if you did not share it during the registration timing, you still have the opportunity to put it into the question box and I'll be able to see it. Okay, and then later on, before we end, I'll definitely go through all the questions. Right, so last but not least, the information here is updated as of today. So if you were to see this recording a few weeks down, do always make sure to check back to the latest information on the Seller University or the Seller Central Help page. Alright, this is a short introduction. Seller education team consists of the Seller University, the resources that you see, and then as well as the one you're attending now, which is the live webinar. So all these are free educational content that we provide for all sellers to help them kickstart their selling journey on Amazon. Okay, I just want to share, some of these preparation timeline, etc. All right, now first of all, just to share, if you have seen probably on the website already, right, this is what we call the Prime Big Deal Days. Right, there's a link there you should be able to see on our Amazon page. Right, so Prime Big Deal Days returns this October, right, to kick off the holiday seasons. Right, so what is this? Prime Big Deal Day is a holiday kickoff event, right, that offer Prime members exclusive access to the early holiday deals across the popular product categories with deep discount on products from different brands. Right, so it will return in October. So the actual day, I'm not aware yet. So it's similarly like Prime Day that we won't know when is it, when it's nearer to date. So we only know that it's going to happen in October. Right, and then not just US, right, it's also happening in the other store as well. All right, so for the consumer side of things, for them to be able to shop like for these good deals, they have to be the Prime members so that they can access, to get all these good deals during this event, the Prime Big Deal Days. All right, so to give you just a short timeline on what you can do or what you should do before the actual event and then during and also after the promotions. Right, this is the date that we have for last year. Right, I didn't update this year just to be consistent because I'm showing the BFCM for last year. All right, so you can see things are the things that you should ideally do before the promotions, a few months before, and then like you see here, right before is usually the logistic, preparing your product, right, packing, etc. Right, and then it typically takes a few months to reach, which later on I'll go through with you some of the important dates as well. Right, and then manage your inventory and also what you can do even after the promotions on clearing out your excess inventory, etc. So this is just a timeline that you can use it as a estimation. All right, and also this one mainly for FBA seller who actually uses the FBA. Right, this will also be a very useful, I would say, guidelines for you as well to plan your logistics. Alright, so what are the prep you need to do ideally, before the big day? Alright, so that is what the session that we are focusing on today. So we actually run this session a few times, sometimes you may think that, hey, how come this may not be applicable in terms of the timeline? All right, that's because throughout the year we actually ran similar session like this. I would think that every quarter there's at least once we ran this kind of webinars to get sellers like yourself to be aware of the timeline. Right, so probably this time round may not be still very applicable, but it will still be applicable if you are working towards the other up and coming Prime, or rather like Prime Day, BFCM, etc. other events coming up. Right. So just to share with you, one of the things that you can get yourself prepared, you can see this is the supply chain by Amazon, right? The first one logistic, as well as the store and distribute, where you can store your storage, which is something new but not so new, which is the AWD, Amazon Warehousing and Distribution, that you can leverage on, as well as the FBA that I think most of you are familiar with. Right, so to get yourself ready, you can actually ship in bulk to AWD, because a lot of time in the past we do get seller wanting to have their bulk of the inventory stored in FBA. Right, so now with this AWD solution, it is more like a warehousing solution that you can use to store bulk of inventory by occurring a more cost efficient cost. Right, it will definitely cost lesser than you were to store it in the fulfillment center. Right, and then of course it comes with a lot of other benefits. Right, they will be able to help you do auto replenishment to the FBA fulfillment center, and also your other sales channel as well. All right. So I do ran a session about how AWD and FBA can work well for your operation. So do check out. But today we will just focus on this part on how AWD can help you in terms of your logistic, as well as the typical FBA logistic preparations. Right, so our FBA revenue calculator is also updated. Right, so if you are new here, or if you want to get an estimate, you can reach out to just search for FBA revenue calculator, or you can use it even without a Seller Central account. Right. So short introduction, we have some first mile logistic option like AGL, Amazon Global Logistic. Right, this is Amazon official cross-border fulfillment service. You can use it if you are, at least for now, if you are sourcing from China, you can use this to directly ship your products from your China site to US, either FBA warehouse or the AWD warehouse directly using Amazon Global Logistics. Right. And there's another one we call the Amazon Send, SEND, seller export and delivery program. So this is more like there's a set of partner carrier selected by Amazon. They will be able to help you ship your products from again from China to the Amazon warehouse into the store. For example, US, right, to the US warehouse that you are going to sell in. Right, so these are the two first mile logistic options from Amazon that you can consider. Right, with this, definitely you get a more, I would say, more streamlined tracking, all right, more transparency, because you can see all this in your Seller Central, like the fees you're going to pay, and then the tracking status, etc. Now, of course, if you are already using your own logistic option, and if that works, you should continue to use that, unless you want to consider other options. This is something that you can consider to see how it can make your operation more efficient in terms of the logistic inbounding. All right, so this is just a time like estimates. All right, so as again, disclaimer, there will always be a lot of other like weather or other factors, etc. That might take into considerations. All right, but this is just the typical estimates. All right, so by air, usually, of course, it's faster. It also costs a lot more comparing to by going by sea, all right, from China to the US. Right, so we're focusing on this area because we see most seller actually source from China, from a China factory, the supplier, etc. Right, so if you're going by sea, right now it may not be on time already, because for sea shipment it takes a little bit longer. It could take up to about 2 to 3 months. in my own experience. All right, but if you go by air, definitely you'll be slightly faster, but you'll cost a lot more. Right, so I'm going to share with you some inbound preparation steps or rules. Right, you can see these are all very detailed guide. I won't go through each and every one, but I will tell you the key focus. And then if you need more info, you can watch back the recording and pause along the way. Right, first one is always check your capacity limits. Right, for newer seller, you may not have this issue because I'm gonna assume that you're not gonna send the like a million inventory in. Right, for very new seller, typically you just want to test it out. Maybe send like the based on your minimum order quantity, you may send in like maybe hundreds, 200s of quantity in. Right, that is fine. But if you are an existing seller or you're already selling, you might want to check your capacity, right? Because there's gonna be a capacity limit in terms of the how much you can actually inbound. All right. So do take note of this. Always check your capacity limits, right? In your inventory dashboard, you can see what is the number of the inventory you can inbound, right? Depending on the size of your inventory, all right? So do not send in more than you can take in, all right? Okay, this is just to share with you about your inventory dashboard. You can see the capacity that you are being allocated, right? Right, so the inventory health is very important. I would say that this is more applicable for seller who are already selling and you want to perhaps send in similar products or you want to replenish. Right, so if you download, there's a report you can see the inventory report. There will be a column called the weeks of cover. Right, so this is, I would say, more like telling you, give you an estimation of how long more your existing stocks can cover. All right, so in our recommendation, it's best to keep within around eight. All right, week of cover, you need about eight, right, or maybe more, right, depending on your own experience as well. But at the start, you can look at around this range, right? So below 4 week of cover four, you might have a risk of shortage, right? There could be a possibility that you might have demand, but then you do not have sufficient inventory to keep up with the demand, your sales, right? So if you have more than that, okay, you might have the possibility of getting overstock. All right, then you might need to think of how you can sell more after the event is over, etc. Because you might have inbounding limits because you are stocking too much. And then if you have plans to have new stocks or new inventory that you want to go in, then you may not have the sufficient capacity to do that. Right, so this is something you need to be aware of. Try to keep it within the WOC week of cover, around 8 weeks. So in the event that you do really think that you need more, there is an option for you to request for extra capacity. Right, again, there will be cost to it, all right, to request for additional capacity. Right, so that's not to say that Amazon just had a hard close that okay, if you hit your limit, you can't send it. Right, of course, we do recognize that there will be cases that you do want to still send in, and then there is an option for you to request. And again, this one will depend on the availability. Right, so you go through a process in the capacity manager to request for additional capacity. Right, so there'll be a fee, etc. Will be deducted from your sales. Right. So I won't go into too deep because it's quite a step-by-step guide. If you go and request, it will guide you through to request you on the additional capacity that you actually need. Right, the second rule is to always ensure that your listing is accurate in terms of your if you're going to print your own let's say your shipment plan, etc., right, make sure that your code everything matches, all right. On the label, the FNSKU is the Amazon label, right. Make sure that is accurate, right. So this will be more likely to happen if you are going to manage the printing out of the labeling, getting your do your own labeling yourself. All right. If not, typically sellers here actually use like a third party prep center or their supplier can actually do that. All right. For that, you can just download the shipment plan and then send it to them. Right. This one number three, prepare your products well. Again, this one is very applicable for sellers who are packing your own products. Let me just zoom in. Right, things you need to take note of. Right, you should, your fragile product should be secured properly with the right label, etc. Right, and then for things that in a polybag, etc., you will need to have a warning label, etc. Okay, right. If you are selling products that could have liquids, etc., you need to have the double seal. Okay, so this is something that again, if you're packing yourself, you need to really make sure that you package it correctly. If not, most of the time, if you are using external third party like prep center to do that, make sure that they are aware of how to prepare for Amazon products to be packed. Right. So most of the time, I would say do your due diligence. Make sure that they know how to do it. So you don't have to do it yourself. This is something that if you're sourcing from China, etc., they can do it there for you with a fee, rather than if you are actually shipping from yourself from Singapore, for example, to US directly, then you need to be aware of all these packaging requirements if you are packing it yourself. Right. So this is important. As you can see, these are real cases that we see from our fulfillment center. If the product is not packed correctly, right, it will result in this kind of situation. Your product might be damaged or lost or whatnot because it's not properly packed, right? And it's being packed like excessively too, out of shape, etc. Right, this may also cause issue. It may delay the shipment, etc. Right, so this one is just to share some of the recommended packaging materials that should be used and then what you should not use. All right, so this will apply for you if your product needs to have a label, right? Have a clear barcode, then your product should have that shown on your products. All right. If not, right, you should use the one that's generated by your shipment plan. All right, each product they will have a product FN SKU that you need to stick on your products. All right, so that when they ship in to the warehouse, the warehouse associate will scan all your barcode, and then they will be able to track how much products was already checked in to the Amazon fulfillment center. Right, so each of your unique item need to have the FN SKU, right, which is sometimes we call the Amazon barcode, right? This is for them to track and identify the products. Right, so speaking of the product, right, the labeling part, right, labeling your product, right? So make sure, all right, all of your product, whether in the final, selling form, the box, for example, is if that's the thing you're selling that has to be contained in the box, all right, your product is in the box. Make sure you have a label. All right, missing label will cause a lot of issues. All right, your product might be lost. There's no way for the Amazon associate to know whose product it is because there's no label. Right, and then wrong label as well. So it's like very obviously in this case the label was pasted wrongly. When it's scanned, it could be a label for example, in this case, a water bottle, but actually it's obviously the product see through is a hat. All right, so this is mislabeling. It's also a big, I would say a big no. All right, make sure this doesn't happen. All right. So last common thing we see is also having a label that it's heavily, I would say heavily plastered over. Sometimes you're afraid that your own label because you use a paper over it, and then you put a lot of scotch tape, and then after the shipment, etc., the whole thing get crumpled, etc., right? So you have issue as well for this. If let's say it gets too crumpled, right, the label may not be readable by the barcode scanner in the fulfillment center, right? So try not to do that, right? So the recommended way, if you are putting your label, in the box form, etc., do always do it like this, right? Do not put it on the part whereby it could be opened up, or because there could be cases where there might be random checks at the custom. They may just cut through the box, and then if your barcode is being cut across, then it might be not trackable, right? All right, so yeah, so rule number 4 is what I mentioned: provide accurate box content, right? And then standardize your shipment and transport, right? This is more of like, choosing the right logistic options, right? So either if you're going to use your own, so make sure your own logistic company or logistic fulfillment options has the safely be able to safely transport your goods. Make sure that your goods, when traveled, example, from the warehouse to the what do you call that, right to the fulfillment center. If your goods is in boxes, or you want to make sure that your logistic company is able to ship in a enclosed container or whatnot, because you never know. If you see online, there are some shipment that could be just wrapped up with some cloth over on the van, and then when it rains, all the inventory, all your box water may seep in, etc. So always make sure that your logistic partner is somebody that you can trust in terms of their delivery, or sending your goods safely and in the best form to the fulfillment center. All right, and then the rule number 6 also. So every shipment inbounding needs to have this tracking information. All right, so you can see here, if you are using AGL, Amazon Send, etc., all right, or this Amazon supported carrier, right, is integrated, so you don't have to put in those tracking number, because in the seller central, they will know about your shipment. So if you're using a non-partnered carrier, meaning your own carrier, your own shipping logistic, do make sure you put in the right tracking code. All right, inside the seller central, there will be a part that you need to put in your tracking ID. Right, lastly, if you want to know more about a tutorial, I do have sources here. So in fact, we have a lot of YouTube videos. You scan this QR code, you can scroll down a bit. I actually updated this page to include the video tutorial. So depending on what category of product you're selling, there are all sorts of video that you can look through, right? You can see how you can pack the product, all right? So there will be a lot of more useful as well for you. All right, so coming back, we're almost to the end. So how you can make use of the AWD during peak season. So back to what I share, what is AWD? Right, so if you look at the picture, first of all, logistic, like I mentioned earlier on, get a pen. All right, so over here, you can either use your own logistic partner, or you can use Amazon partner carrier or AGL to send your products. All right, so you can either send it to FBA directly, or you can send it to AWD. Right, so you probably know by now that there is actually a FBA inbounding fee to send directly to FBA. All right, so it actually makes more sense if your product is eligible, you can send it to the Amazon warehousing and distribution uh, center, right? And then from there, it will help you ship it to FBA, right? So you just need to make sure that your product reaches AWD, right? So you will reduce some costs in terms of your inbound shipping direct to FBA. And also AWD allows you to keep your bulk inventory there, because I know some seller, before this option is available, a lot of the seller uses other 3PL, other third-party logistic options to actually drip feed their product into FBA. right? So now with this option, you can consider either continue using your existing option, or you can actually consider using AWD to see whether it makes more business sense for you to leverage AWD to drip feed the inventory into the FBA fulfillment center. Right. So the good part is if you have your own other sales channel, you can also use AWD to do outbound shipment to your other sales channel. Right. Maybe you're selling in some other offline stores, etc., or you're selling in other third-party website. You can also store your products, your inventory in AWD. Right. So all in all, it provides an integrated upstream bulk inventory storage. So you can actually see it. Right. There's a user interface in Seller Central, where you can see your inventory in your AWD warehouse, etc. And then if you opt for auto replenishment, you just need to make sure that there's always inventory in AWD. You don't have to, go and manually do your replenishment. You can set up how much you want to replenish, etc. You auto send it to the FBA fulfillment center for you. Alright, this is what I shared earlier on as well. Now, these are the key advantage, right? The benefits of using AWD, right? Smarter FBA inbounding, and then for those of you who are having multi-channel distribution, you can be more efficient with this. Right? These are the four key benefits. Right? The first thing, which I think as a seller myself, really good part is the auto replenishment. Right. So with there are some models backend who will learn about your, how much, what is the sales velocity, and then you'll be able to do the auto replenishment for you. So, you don't have to manually replenish. So long you replenish your AWD inventory, that would be sufficient, and then they will automatically send to FBA for you. You'll always be in stock. Right. So low cost, because if you compare to storing it in FBA directly, AWD is a cheaper option. Right? And then you can avoid all those fee like overage fee, surcharges, etc. that is normally being incurred on the FBA. Right, and then on the speed and reliability part, because it's everything trackable in Seller Central, right? So there is a transparent tracking in terms of knowing where the status of your inventory is, right? And last but not least, the multi-channel distribution that I was mentioning. It will be helpful if you are also selling in the other channel besides Amazon. Okay, so I want to share that for limited time, there's a promotion right now for AWD. Right, there's a 25% discount off the base rate for the AWD storage fee. Right, and then 50% discount off base rate each for AWD processing fee and the transportation fee. Right, so there are some terms and conditions you can actually read through. I also put this link into the QR code as well, the single resource page that you can refer to. Right, so this promotion will end in this month actually. Yep. All right, so I think we're all very concerned, how does it actually help reduce costs, like I mentioned earlier on. Right, these are the types of fee that is being these are the type of fees that can help you reduce. Right, in terms of like inbounding fee, if you're using AWD, it'll be waived. There's no inbounding fee. All right, and then low inventory fee as well. If you're using AWD auto replenishment, the low inventory fee will be waived, as well as the storage utilization surcharge, etc. All right, so you can see you will get to save the fees on the left column, right, if you're using AWD. All right, so this is something you need to consider in terms of comparing with your own logistic option, whether it makes sense for you or not. You can actually download the FBA Peak Readiness Playbook, or there are more info over here. All right, so this is our Q4 holiday season microsite is already live. You can go on and check it out. All right, there's some informations over there to help you with to get started. Okay, last but not least, just to share some resources from Seller University. So this is the Amazon warehousing and distribution one-pager guide that we have from Seller University. But again, all this QR code is the same that I shared, so don't worry if you miss it out. All right, so I try my best to consolidate all the resource in this single page that we have created for seller education. So you will get all the resources in this one single page. So just make sure you bookmark that single page, and then always go back to refer because I will update the information there. Right, same for this is the upcoming webinars that we have in September. Yep. And then if you check your email, I think we actually have another in-person event. I think in 16th of September. I think it's an in-person ads event that we have. So do check your email. Right, I'll be there as well. So you'll see you at the event. Right, it's an in-person event. Yeah, I will try to find the sign up link and put it on the QR code as well. Okay, so just to share, for those who don't know, we have this Southern Seller Fest at the November 19 to 20 this year. So it's like a similar to I would say like a biggest event that we have every year. So this year, we are calling it the Southern Seller Fest. Alright, so this year round there are limited tickets. Alright, it's a paid event this year round already. So do check it out because the tickets are limited. There's only limited seats available. All right, so this time round, our biggest event is called the Southern Seller Fest. Do sign up if you have not. More information is on the website. And then before the Southern Seller Fest event, there is this pre-submit webinar series that you can attend. Our webinar 2 has ended last week, but you can watch the recording just by registering. Right, you can get up to 4 pre-submit webinar series that gives you a kind of like a preview of what's going to happen during the summit itself, and also sharing some useful insights from all these speakers that we have invited that have flown from overseas to Singapore to do this to share with the sellers. Okay, now I'm moving on to the Q&A portion.